Hi there. When you think about ADD or ADHD, what first comes to your mind? What do you first think of? Stereotypically, what do you think of? A lot of people would say um, a fidgety, annoying kid, or a kid that can't sit still, um, doesn't do what they're told. Um, a lot of negative connotations come along with that. And we're going to talk today a little bit about ADHD and some of the truths and misconceptions, and a lot of what those misconceptions can do to someone at a very young age. I don't think people realize, because people without ADHD a lot of times don't even admit it that it exists. And I've had that I've had that said to me a lot throughout my life, that it's not real. How could your brain function differently? It doesn't make sense to someone without ADHD. Um, they say to some extent everyone has experienced what ADHD is like. It's just that people without it have it less often, less severe, and they can easily overcome what's going on. We'll talk about that. And we'll talk about some other stuff. And we got a 48 by 48 mils plate here. I made this last night. We're going to do what I call a free build. So I've selected color brick, and I've selected some doors and windows and whatnots and what have yous. And I'm just going to build while we talk and see what happens. It's good for your mind, because one of the things is yes, some people with ADHD fidget, and they're doing that to help themselves concentrate. Well, look what I did on a different free build. So this is that. This is I just putzing around, just put the circle in there. It's kind of cool. Anyway, I'm going to be using tan bricks. Hopefully we'll incorporate some arches and stuff today. This is a pillar that I did. It's not my idea per se, but it uses those bricks from the brickheads to create a pillar, which is pretty cool. If you haven't seen that, I'm sure there's people who show how to do that. Basically, you just have to have the right amount of space in between. And so what it is if you take one, turn this one this way, another one this way, and you keep doing that, it matches up so that you can put in these tiles. And that's fun if you want to do square tile pillars. Anyway, that's just something that was in my, here's my bucket of tan. So they do that, people with ADHD. I grew up with ADHD. I have a lot of shame and guilt that stems from that, being told that I was purposely being disruptive, being bad, maliciously doing things wrong when I should know better. What I can relate it to is if you're changing the channel on your television, flicking through channels on the channel up and down, that's your thought process. Each one of those 1 second, and you're trying to grasp on to a certain one, but it keeps changing. So I want to watch that. You're already 20 channels away. That is a bad day of ADHD. That is literally probably worst case scenario right there. And so then you make decisions and you do things without even fathoming the outcome or the repercussions of your actions or your words. And so it comes out before you even know it comes out. And all of a sudden, you're like, oh, that was bad. Because the wrath is coming down on you. Like, see how many long ones we got. You're already in trouble and you don't even realize what you've done yet. So it can be tough. There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about with ADHD. It's looked at in a lot of different ways. Some are more right than others, I guess. But it's more prevalent in males. And ADHD and ADD are now consolidated into one term. Basically, ADD is all encompassing, different severities. So a lot of times in girls who have ADD, they do not show the physical hyperactive symptoms, and it's more internalized. Males are likely to have genetically a stronger dose of the DD, But anyway, so that stands for attention deficit. They're the first two letters in the acronym. Deficit is not really what it is. It's not a deficit of attention. It's actually, and here's where the hyperactive actually stems from, not from the hyperactive physical activity. It's hyperactive brain activity. So it's not a deficit of attention. Yes, it's true you can't pay attention, but it's because you have too much attention. So you have attention on too many things at once. So you cannot focus on one thing. You need to be you're told focus on this. And while you're trying to focus on that, you're focusing on 20 other things. Therefore, your focus is, I guess, deficient on the thing you're supposed to be focused on. But technically, it makes it seem like your attention, you just can't pay attention. Like you're like, ooh. It's not like that. You're paying attention to so much at once that you cannot focus your attention on what you need to. So that's what it really is. And there are ways to cope with it, and there's mindfulness, and sometimes if it's something that the person who has ADHD enjoys, if they like it, they can somehow magically focus all their attention onto that thing, which is crazy because now that makes us look bad, right? So, you're interested in this, so you can focus your attention on it. But everything else, like what you're supposed to be doing, you don't. Then people call BS. They're like, that's whatever. That's not possible, because someone with with a non-ADHD mind is like, that's blatant. You're blatantly doing this, even though you aren't. It's extremely hard to explain to someone who does not have ADHD. Extremely hard. And it sounds like a crock. And that's why a lot of people don't believe in it. But what they don't realize is that people who do have it is a thing, and it can be detrimental to your mental health. I don't know what the percentages are. I can look it up. But a huge percentage of people with attention deficit disorder also have it paired with other things, either depression, clinical depression, like serotonin level, or depression brought on from ADHD, from ADD. And it usually comes with other problems. So let's look at some stats here. ADHD / depression. So, that's a crud monkeys. Okay, let's not look at an ad. Oh, this is one of my favorite magazines. It's called Attitude. ADD capitalized ITUDE. It's a magazine for people with ADHD. It's really, 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 really good. Oh, actually, I have the issue that this comes from. So I actually own this issue, but here it is. The article's here. So it's a co-occurrence a lot of times. Depression is estimated to be 2.7 times more prevalent among adults with ADHD than among the general adult population. So studies show that about 30% of people with ADHD will experience depressive episode or have a mood disorder in their lifetime. So then, bipolar or other mood disorders, different severities. And so what's more is individuals that have ADHD and depression experience symptoms from each condition more acutely than would be present if they only had one of the conditions. So it heightens both of them. So basically, they don't help each other. And it's very important to make sure that both conditions are properly treated, obviously. So ADHD puts you at 4 times the risk of depression. So the risk is greater for hyperactive, impulsive types who are at a higher risk of suicide. So, it can be detrimental. And people don't realize this. Sometimes they find out when it's too late. But, like we said, it's a serious thing. It's just, it's something you can't see on the outside of someone. You know what I mean? There's always been a stigma with disabilities that you can't see. It's way easier to dismiss those, and I understand that. But when someone genuinely says, "Hey, I have these issues," don't take it as a falsehood and not tell that. There are people who use depression, ADHD, bipolar, all these things as crutches or as excuses, and they don't actually have them. Attention seeking, that gives a bad name for the people who do suffer. So ADHD brains have a dysregulation of dopamine, a neurochemical responsible for the motivation and implicated in reward systems and moods. People with ADHD are not accessing the levels of dopamine that their neurotypical peers are because of the dysregulation. So I can go on and on. Either way, the two go hand in hand more often than they should. So it just talks about treating it and stuff like that. We're done with that. There's also statistics for bipolar and ADHD. There's tons of good stuff on ADDitude. I'll link it below the website for anyone out there who has ADHD or a loved one close to them that has ADHD, to help you better understand if you actually care to know. There's this whole article right here, Unraveling the Mysteries of the ADHD Brain, which it scientifically explains stuff. We're not going to get into it, right? There's all this crap. So your brain is wired differently. You take in and output information differently. There's a lot of positives that have been found with ADHD thinking. It's actually very useful in a lot of situations, and is not easy to replicate in someone who doesn't have it. Like, they can't just automatically start being like, "Oh, I can do this multitask super easy because I trained my brain to do it." It's hard to explain. There are places where people with ADHD excel. There are jobs that they excel in, there are things that we excel in. And so don't forget that. A lot of people forget that. It's easy to look at the negatives. The negatives are more prevalent. Right now I'm just looking for parts. I don't know how many. I don't know where all my tan went, y'all. So, so yeah, that is that. We're gonna start. Let's start in on the build, and I'm filming. So that's my beautiful daughter, and so let's start the build. Let's get this build going and see what we want to do here. Oh, so I'm gonna use some brown. Maybe the brown town. I haven't built anything yet. And we had too much serious discussion on ADHD. So let's chillax. There are a lot of things to enjoy about ADHD. It's super easy to not be worried about stuff. Almost to the point where you're too lax. Almost not having the urgency that you should have or that people expect, that you should have in certain situations, which can be beneficial but also detrimental depending on the sitch, right? So I'm going to use these thicker ones. I like that. They kind of stick out a little bit. And then, so this is a good way for ADHD people, like building stuff. Very healthy for us. Keeps us out of trouble too. So there's a more, I'm pretty much going to work on this for a little bit. So there's not going to be a lot. We'll do some Lego talk and come back to ADHD. I got a book that I want to show you in case, and this is a book that pertains to people in a relationship, both the non-ADHD and the ADHD partner. It's a great book. It's written for both sides, so you both read the same book, and it explains. We'll get into it. Oh, look at him. Oh, these are from that Lego Ninjago movie, that Falls Bridge. I don't know. Oh, Master Wu and whatever. I bought a couple of them. I found them on clearance, and I bought a couple just for the parts. Yeah, so I don't know what I'm going to do. Let's try. I don't think I can go too big on this building. I thought I had more of these. There's got to be a building somewhere that's got a bunch of my tan. Unless I've got it somewhere else. Those are all tan plates, though. All right, so let's take a look. It's in a book. Lego Rainbow. I can do anything. So let's go. Let's keep with the 6. 6. 6, 6. So, yeah, ADHD can have very adverse effects. Unfortunately, when I was a kid, it was even less understood. What do you think about that? There's going to be windows in here. I mean, who knows? We might even take it apart. We're just playing. We're just playing toys right now. So it was really not understood, and I was just thought of as a disruptive kid. I was naughty, right? And so I felt terrible because I literally did not mean to do the majority of the things I did until I was older. I started doing it I didn't care anymore. I had given up because I was told so many times that I was purposely being bad that I just said, well, there's no matter what I do, this is what I'm going to be accused of. So I might as well just do it, right? Which sucks. It's not good because now instead of working on stuff, you're living it out, right? Well, it's not a good thing. I think we're gonna go. Let's see how many of these we got. We're almost out of these, so let's do. Okay, so I don't know if you can see how good you can see, but right now, that's what we're looking at for the bottom floor plan. And we'll build up the walls a little bit. I just want to hit this puppy with windows. I don't have a lot. This is all my brown windows. So really, don't have a ton, but whatever. That's the fun of just building without having, I have no plan. I have no plan for this, so that's okay, right? Don't need a plan. You build as you go. And that's one of the things that we have ADHD as strong suits in, is on the fly. No planning ahead, spontaneous. Just start, do, and stuff happens. We don't have a lockdown on creativity. It doesn't have to be harnessed or focused. It is flowing constantly. It's usually flowing at such a rate that I know I've had like so many ideas, whether they be good or bad. There are some of them I wished I could have held on to, and they've escaped me because they came and went. And if you don't write it down or have proof of it somewhere, it's gone. So right now I'm just looking for some more of these taller slopes here. I got a bunch of the mid ones. I know I got more. I feel like, I wonder if there's more of this stuff somewhere. Tan? I've been saving this up again. I don't know what building or project I use. Oh, the bank has all the big parts. Okay, so we're gonna do some color swaps here. I'll probably break out some brown. That'll be cool too. I have been saving up brown forever, so we'll break that out. I'm just worried about my slopage. Where would I have? I might have to go look in my slope drawer. I swear though, they should all pretty much be in here. Sorry if the bricks are making this you can't hear. Here's one. All I need is one more, really, for what I'm doing. So, sometimes I will be building and halfway through, I'll stop and sort because I'm looking for something, and I'll end up sorting a whole bunch of stuff and then come back to building and don't even remember what I was doing. And the build takes a whole new look, feel. Could change midway. It's kind of cool. Oh, I forgot. This is right by the mic. Sorry. Whatever. If you don't like the sound of bricks, you don't watch. And, it's part of Lego. I know some people complain when I'm going through my bricks. Here, that's too loud. But you know what? It never bothered me. As a kid, I spent hours just looking for parts. Just the whole pile of unsorted, trying to find one piece in a haystack, needle in a haystack. But that's okay. That kept me occupied, and that held my attention. So I wasn't off doing something I wasn't supposed to be doing. Yeah, I'm interested to hear from other people that have ADHD in the community. I'm talking about this one right now. It's always been prevalent in my life. It's the first thing in my life that I remember affecting me, even in kindergarten as a small child, and it affected me in a big way, and it molded everything that happened in my life, negative and positive. So it really is a double-edged sword, and it really is a real thing. So Really, I don't have one more of those slopes. You got to be joking on me. You got to be joking in my balls. Okay, that's it. I'm going to look in this. This thing is full of slopes. I have so many containers chock full of slopes. These are probably all roof slopes. Fine, you know what? You know what we'll do? We don't need no stinking con slope. I know I got them somewhere, but let's not spend our time looking for them. And, you know, we're going to 86 these. Pew, 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 pew. Did that pause it?